Greetings, folks, and welcome to another edition of Tuesday Tips with Tim. I'm Tim King with Offix Lynchburg, and today we're going to talk about printing on cardstock and specialty media. Now, the first important tip to remember when picking out and printing on specialty media and cardstock is to make sure that your media, especially with glossy paper such as photo paper and certain other specialty medias, are compatible with an office printer copier. Now, when I say compatible, what does that mean? Why would paper not be compatible? Because your commercial copier printer uses heat to apply and fuse toner to your paper, you need to make sure the media can handle that kind of heat. So always check the package and make sure that it is safe for not just inkjet, but especially for office copiers. The second thing you want to check for is the GSM, or grams per meter squared. This is going to tell you how thick and heavy the media is. A non-production printer typically has a max weight or thickness capability of 300 GSM, or 300 grams per meter squared. Now, this is really, really thick. 300 GSM is very, very, very thick. So most of the stuff you want to print are going to be okay. But you're going to have to change your paper settings in your device in order for it to run that thicker paper. So we're going to jump into each of our three copiers here in a second to show you how to change the settings to match the paper you're putting in. But the first thing you want to remember is that it's that max 300 GSM, and you want to match it to the range. When you're printing on this paper, you're typically going to want to print the thicker stuff through your multi-purpose or bypass tray. That's because a regular paper tray has a more serpentine and curved paper path to go through the fuser, whereas a multi-purpose tray or bypass tray is going to bypass a lot of that curving and have a straighter path through the machine. So let's jump into our paper tray settings and show you how to match your GSM. We're also going to show you that you can print envelopes through your multi-purpose trays on approved machines, and we'll show you where those settings are also. So let's dive right in. All right, we've got our cardstock in each of our printers, our Kyocera, our Canon, and our HP. So let's dive into the screens and see what each of those settings look like. We put our cardstock in the multi-purpose tray. An alert pops up to say, hey, is this what's in there? Now, we've got it defaulted to cardstock already, but if we had a thicker cardstock or something different, we would hit Change, MP Tray Settings. We're going to make sure. Now, I usually leave the paper size default to automatic. It should read it. However, if you've got some unique sizes, you may want to change it there. For instance, I mentioned envelopes. If we had numbered 10 envelopes or various sizes, we could put those in there also. But we're going to leave it at auto. And then media type, this is what's going to determine the thickness. So with the Kyocera, you've got options of cardstock, color, pre-punch. So this is not just for thicker paper or coated paper, but if you've got a letterhead or something, some kind of special paper that you only want very certain things printed on, you can default your multi-purpose tray to, let's say, pre-printed for letterhead. Leave that in there, and then whenever you go to print something on letterhead, as long as your print driver matches, as long as it matches what it's printing on, so if you're telling your print driver pre-printed or letterhead, it's going to pull from that tray and only that tray. Conversely, anytime you go to print a regular print job, it's only going to print on the regular paper and not the pre-punched. So we're going to say OK, and then close. Okay, we've got our settings loaded up for our Kyocera, so we're going to go to Print, our KX driver for universal printing. We're going to say Properties, and we want to make sure that our paper size matches what we told the copier. So it is letter. However, media type, we're going to say cardstock. And we're going to say OK there. We do want it double-sided. And now we're going to print. Okay, just like the Kyocera, when you put the paper in the multi-purpose tray, it gives you a pop-up that says, hey, what is this? It's defaulted to plain paper. So we're going to change this. Now you're going to see some parentheses here that say bond. Remember, I talked about GSM, or grams per meter squared. If you go to detailed settings, it's going to give you that range of what thickness it should be. So our cardstock is 172 GSM, so we're going to look for that range. Heavy 1, 2, 3, we're going to say heavy 4. And then OK. So now we got paper type, heavy 4, and it's going to automatically recognize the size. Now let's go print. All right, we've got our print settings in our Canon. So we're going to go over here to print. We're going to select our Canon device. We're going to say properties. Now you're going to notice the driver looks a little different for the Canon. So when it goes to paper size, we got that right there. Under paper source, we're going to choose, you can say either multi-purpose tray or which is set to auto, so paper type set to auto. So from here we can just choose our multi-purpose tray. You can also change the source from auto to our heavy 3, which is what the range that we chose. So we're going to say that, OK, and print. All right, with the HP, you will typically get a pop-up also. However, by the time I got back to the screen, it had disappeared. So you can simply scroll over. Oh, here's my connection has, there we go. And go to trays. Now, if you see here, HP does it a little differently. Instead of calling it a bypass tray or a multi-purpose tray, they just call it tray 1. So we're going to select tray 1. We're going to select type. Now again, for this one, it is defaulted to cardstock, but again, this gives you your weight ranges. So if you look between the two, we're going to stick with cardstock and say done. Home, and now we will print. Okay, lastly, we're going to print on our HP. So we're going to print. We're going to find our specific printer, the LaserJet Flow E786 series. We're going to go to Properties, Paper and Quality. So paper type unspecified, we're going to say more. We're going to say photo cover, cardstock, and OK. OK, and we are going to make sure we're both double-sided and print. All right, we've printed to our cardstock. Again, you're going to print to your envelopes, your photo paper. You're going to print on all those things the same way on each of the devices. It's just a matter of matching the media type and thickness with what you're printing on. Hopefully this helps you expand your printing capabilities and what you're able to do on your multifunctional device. If you have any questions, please reach out to marketing@offix.com. That's marketing@offix.com. As always, like and follow our socials, and we will see you next week.